Hey, and welcome to the Mickey in Minutes podcast. Quick conversations, information, and inspiration. I'm your host, Nick Lazaga, and I hope you enjoy this episode of The Short Disney Show. Hey, what's going on, everybody? So we're back. This is part 2 of our comparing Coast to Coast Disneyland and Disney World episode. I'm here again with my wife, Chelsea.
Hey, Mickey Minutes family.
That's Chelsea in Minutes on Instagram. I'm Nick in Minutes on Instagram, and this is the Mickey Minutes podcast. Let's continue our conversation. So we're comparing Coast to Coast, Walt Disney World and Disneyland. Last episode, we talked dining and lounges. In this episode, we're going to talk about what?
We're going to talk about entertainment, attractions, and decorations.
And so if you didn't listen to that first episode, go back and listen to it. We did a whole lightning round where we went through all of these really quick. She asked me and I answered Disneyland or Disney World. And now we're breaking down each of those topics and having a great, fun Disney conversation. So let's continue. Let's talk about attractions.
Let's go for it.
Now, we're not going to do everything because there's a gajillion attractions, right? So you selected some very specific ones that you want to compare.
Yes.
And so we're just going to talk about these. And let's go. Let's get on with it.
So let's start with the basic, the one everyone tries to pick their favorite from. Let's do space versus space.
Okay, so 2 classics. Obviously, Walt Disney World is the original. That's the first Space Mountain. Disneyland came second. So yeah, that's one of the few things that Disney World did first, right?
Yeah.
They're very similar because they're both Space Mountains, but they're very different at the same time. So let's talk about how they're a little different. The Disney World one, you sit, one behind the other.
Mm-hmm.
Disneyland, you sit side by side. Disney World has 2 tracks. Disneyland has 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the soundtrack, what you listen to is very, very different.
Yeah.
Right.
A little bit of a different tone to both.
Yeah. And I'm going to say the OG, the original Space Mountain of Magic Kingdom.
I have to agree. I'm very team Disney World for Space Mountain. I was actually thinking I would vote Disneyland. And then we got off Disneyland Space Mountain and I said, oh, Disney World. Easy. I do think that it also depends on if you're on side left or side right for Space Mountain and Disney World.
Yeah.
One is definitely smoother.
They're slightly different, yeah.
But Disney World, yes. Space Mountain, so fun. A little bumpy. You need an Advil or something afterwards.
Well, they're currently doing a full track redo of the Big Thunder Mountain at Walt Disney World. Yeah. I'm wondering if once they finish that, if they're going to do the same thing to Space Mountain.
Probably.
Because it does need it. It's a little bumpy.
It's a little bumpy.
But, man, it's so good.
Yep.
It's so fun. I just love, the music in the Star Tunnel and the queue. That's iconic to me. It's better.
We also caught it at a really good time
on this last
trip.
Yeah.
Because we caught it right during Festival of Fantasy Parade. And we did it.
We did twice in a row. That were both literal walk-ons. Literally walking through the queue right onto the ride vehicle.
It said 30 minutes on the clock, and we were like, oh, let's just
find it out. Whatever, yeah.
And it walk on both times.
We walked on, and then we're like, oh my goodness, this is insane. Let's do it again. And so we did it again. And I said a third time. You said, no, I'm good.
I need some water.
Yeah. It's a little bumpy. Twice in a row.
Yeah. It's very hard getting out that second time. I was pulling on the chair behind me to lift myself.
We did do it a third time a little bit later. Yeah. Because of Lightning Lane.
Yeah. Yeah. We did have multi-pass on this trip. And
I will say that whole day, we were there with my whole family, and that whole day was very low crowds.
Yes. September, early September seems like a really nice time to go if you're okay with humidity.
And taking the kids out of school. I'm a teacher. I had to take a couple of days off work. Totally.
Yes. It was great.
Low crowds. That was what,
nice.
Friday?
It was a Thursday.
A Thursday. Okay, you're right.
It was a Thursday, so it was good. It was nice. Our weekend days during the trip were a little bit more crowded, but it wasn't bad. It was just a little humid. Really humid. I'm sorry. It was very humid. It was very humid. You will not see Chelsea Minutes in Disney World during a humid month for a while. So
no matter how hard I try, I have summers off. This is way easier for me. So what's our next comparison?
So, I would say Big Thunder, but Big Thunder was closed in Disney World. But I would secretly give it to Disneyland.
Me too. But
Maybe
Disney World's going to win after this refurbishment.
After refurbishment,
it's going to.
But let's go Haunted Mansion. Haunted Mansion.
All right, Haunted Mansion at Disney World's better for everything except for the Hatbox Ghost placement, right? That's not controversial. The Hatbox Ghost at Walt Disney World is really early in the ride before the ghost materialized, so it doesn't make any sense. He's in the attic scene in Disneyland, and it makes perfect sense. He has no head. He's right after the bride. Although the new bride in Disneyland doesn't chop off heads anymore.
I know.
It's not Constance anymore.
She's just a little spooky.
Creepy bride.
I really do like the new bride. And I love...
It looks great.
Something I noticed this time on our trip to Disneyland is they actually have a dollhouse version of the Disneyland's Haunted Mansion in the attic.
In the attic, yeah.
In Disneyland.
You pointed that out to me.
And that was such a neat little thing.
Yeah, Disneyland people, has that been there for a while? Are we just noticing that?
Did we miss it?
Oh my goodness.
But I do like the new bride. But I would vote Disney World just because I like that what you walk through in Disneyland is actually part of the attraction in Disneyland.
Yeah, there's a lot of like after this is after the stretching room in Disneyland where you're walking by the portraits that like change in the lightning. That's part of our ride.
Yeah.
So I'll take, things being in the actual ride over things being in the queue.
Yeah. It's a good trade to have the Hatbox Ghost in an awkward place.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Overall, and then also the Disney World mansion, the exterior is the one I grew up with. I grew up going to Disney World, being an annual pass holder living in Florida. So it's the one I've been to most.
Yep.
So I just think overall, I think the ride's a little longer in Disney World.
Yep.
I just think it's overall better.
So as somebody that doesn't have the attachment, because I did not ride Haunted Mansion until our engagement trip.
She was too scared.
I was too scared.
It was not until we were engaged that I forced her to get on with me.
Yep.
And you didn't even look. You had your eyes closed.
I had my eyes closed for most of it. And then the little tiny...
Little Leota.
Little Leota haunted me for like...
The mini bride. Hurry back.
Of our marriage. I would have nightmares about her. But I am such a Disney Parks fan and an Imagineering fan that I have an appreciation for the Haunted Mansion now, but I have to give it to Disney World.
Of course. Yep.
Also, Mickey and Minnie's Family, tell me, the dancing ghost scene in Walt Disney World, are some of the dancing ladies, are they supposed to represent Disney princesses?
You did point it out to me, right?
Please take a final...
One of them's like a redhead?
Yes, one of them's a redhead with a pink dress. Makes me think of Ariel from her dinner scene. One of them has blonde hair up in a bun with like kind of a white, light blue dress. And then one of them is dark brown hair with like a yellowish dress that has like a ribbon sash around the bottom. So
could that have been an upgrade, that to make them look like Disney princesses? I don't know.
Is it?
Or is that just a weird coincidence?
Is it a coincidence?
I mean, I don't know.
Well, it's the same thing. Is Toad's car in Peter Pan?
Is that Toad's car in Peter Pan's Flight? Or I would say the mermaid, the redhead mermaid, they've made her look like Ariel now.
I feel like that's been an update. But are these...
It wasn't originally. I don't know.
Is that a secret, another reason to give it to Disney World? I think so.
I don't know. So that goes to Disney World. All right. I think the comparison that people are just really wanting to hear about is Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Yes. Because this is the kind of a controversial topic. So the Tiana's Bayou Adventure in Disneyland versus the one in Disney World. Of course, they both replaced Splash Mountain at their respective parks. Mm-hmm. And, the Splash Mountain at Disneyland was the original. Disney World one came next, and then the Disney World Tiana's opened first, right? And then the Disneyland one opened second.
Yes.
And so they're slightly different. The Disneyland one is a lot smaller. Like everything in Disneyland is smaller. Everything in Disney World is just right there, bigger, right? Yeah. And so we did them both. Obviously this summer, we're talking about how we went to both parks, within a month of each other. We had different opinions on this.
We did. And we had a lovely discussion about it.
Spirited debate.
So we'll let you guys decide at the end.
Yeah. So, all right. So which do you think is better, Disneyland or Disney World?
So personally, I have to give it to Disneyland.
Why?
I like the pacing. I feel like Disneyland and Disney World ordered the same amount of animatronics. So
But Disney World is way bigger.
Disney World is way bigger. So there's like, here's a big gap.
So it didn't fill out.
Animatronic.
It didn't fill out as well in Disney World.
Disneyland, it feels better. Now, I agree that it does feel a little fast, but I feel like the fast makes it fun, in my opinion.
All right, so let's talk about that. The Disney World one, it's obviously a lot bigger, so the animatronic scenes are a lot more spread out.
Mm-hmm.
And in between each of the animatronic scenes, there's just a little bit of like kind of quiet, dark as you get to the next scene. But they're still themed to the bayou. And you still, see the trees and it's dark. And I'm looking at that more as like place setting, right? You're setting up where we are. You're in a dark bayou at night floating through. And it's a little slower and it's building up the ambiance in the same way that I think Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland, the first couple minutes of it is just building and setting up for you. And I really like that in between the scenes in Disney World, you're getting a little bit more of that bayou ambiance. And then Disneyland goes fast. It feels fast because each of the scenes are right next to each other. So I feel like I'm getting whiplash looking over here and then looking over there. And then, we're at the next scene already. And I didn't get enough time to look at this scene. And, oh my gosh, we're already at the drop. And then we're done.
But to this point, it's a thrill ride. So I like this quicker pace for it. I understand the ambiance, but I like the quicker pace. Also, the animatronics are on a loop. So my complaint about
4 different
Disney World
dialogues
is they sure can play. They sure can play.
All right.
Look at them.
So
sure can play.
You're saying that you end up hearing the same dialogue over and over again.
And over and over again in Disney
So
World.
all right, to explain that, there's different, each of the scenes has like 2 or 3, maybe 4 different like pieces of dialogue that they cycle through. And at Disney World, you feel like you're hearing similar phrases in each scene, right? Mm-hmm. Because, the story of the ride is that they're trying to find musicians. So each of the scenes is basically complimenting the musicians, right? And so you're saying you heard similar phrases over and over again.
Yeah, over and over again. And I did not get that in Disneyland. I felt like they were more varied. I felt like it was a more cohesive story. It wasn't just like they sure can play.
It could have been bad luck, bad timing that we just happened to hear them.
That it was better this trip than when we rode it in November in Disney World, because we were in Disney World in November as well.
Right.
And it felt like we were on a better path for the audio this trip versus.
So basically, like if you get a slowdown or something or a breakdown, you end up getting slowed down or stopped in a certain scene, then the audio is going to continue cycling through, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah. And I know too, Disneyland's final scene with Tiana has been broken for months and months and months.
Ours worked in Disney. The Disney World one worked.
But it didn't work when we were there.
Which time? Time?
This last trip.
It didn't?
No. And
in Disneyland. It worked in Disneyland.
It worked, but we got it in Disneyland and she looked fabulous.
But we've seen her work in Disney World.
In Disney World. But you know who doesn't work a lot in Disney World is the first Lewis animatronic. Is usually just his eyes and his lips moving.
What doesn't typically work in Disney World for us is that screen on the final lift hill of Mama Odie.
Yeah.
We've never seen that screen.
Never seen it work.
We've been on this ride like 4 or 5 times now, and we've never seen it work.
There was a lot of down animatronics on this ride. Better audio this time in Disney World, but a lot of down animatronics.
The other thing that's kind of different is where the frog characters are in the tiny scene.
Yeah.
Right? So in Disneyland, they're all kind of lumped together in one area, kind of towards the left, right? And then in Disney World, they're kind of spread out a little bit more, I feel like. But again, it has to do with the fact that there's more space in Disney World. So I think it just looks a little better.
Also, same as Splash, seats are side by side for Disney World and in front and back versus Disneyland. Last time we rode Splash in Disneyland, I got drenched even wearing a poncho.
Our farewell to the Splash Mountain.
Yeah, and I was drenched
so sad.
Even wearing a poncho. This last trip, I wore a poncho and I was fine. But I have heard that more people get wetter.
Well, it also
more
depends
wet.
where you say. I think the front in Disneyland gets more wet than the back.
Yeah.
But I mean, all right. So just a little background. Splash Mountain has been my favorite attraction for as long as I can remember. It's always been my favorite attraction. And if you ever ask me what my favorite attraction is, I'm still going to say Splash Mountain. So Tiana's Bayou Adventure it's so hard for me because I miss Splash Mountain so much, so much. But I'm used to it now. I still miss Splash Mountain, but that's why it's so hard for me to even pick a favorite because I'm just comparing everything to Splash Mountain, which was so full with animatronics. There were so many characters. Like we're talking about Dead Space in Disney World. There was no Dead Space in Splash Mountain.
But you're voting Disney World because you like that Dead Space.
I do like it, yeah. But I'm saying just in general, there was just so much more. Splash Mountain was so much more of a full ride and it had so much more life than Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
I mean, you can't beat the animatronics though that they have made when they work.
Because they're new animatronics. Yeah,
they're new animatronics. They're gorgeous.
But I just feel like Splash Mountain, if I had to compare, I would say Splash Mountain overtakes all of them.
No,
but that's not what we're doing.
We're not doing.
That's not what we're doing.
Tiana versus Tiana.
So I say Disney World, you say Disneyland. Listeners, let me know, what do you guys think? Which one is it?
Let us know.
All right, so the next one, you wanted to do Small World versus Small World. All right, we don't even need to really talk about this very much. It's obviously Disneyland.
But we should talk about the
last verse. So for the 70th anniversary, they added a new verse to the very last scene of Small World. And it was written by Richard Sherman before he passed as kind of like a tribute to Small World. And they ended up putting it in the ride, recording a new audio. And, the lyrics are interesting.
But we were able to hear it coast to coast this time.
Well, yeah, because it was originally announced for the 70th for Disneyland, and it lived there for a little bit, and then they brought it over to Disney World as well. So we were able to hear it in both, and it just, everything about the Small World in Disneyland is better. Every single thing about it is better, in my opinion. And even down to the fact that we have Disney characters sprinkled throughout the ride, that look like the Mary Blair figures. And they're in the right countries and everything, and that's better. It's
just a plus for me.
It's just so good. The last verse, like I said, the lyrics are fine.
I prefer it without the last verse.
I don't think it was needed either.
Small World fan.
Yeah, I think it's nice that they're doing a tribute to the Sherman Brothers with that, and there's even in the Main Street Theater area over in Disneyland, they have a little tribute to the Sherman Brothers playing, and they're talking about the last verse. So it's a big deal, and it's really nice. But I think just, as classic Disney fans, Disney purists, I don't think it was needed.
I feel like for me, I hardly notice audio changes, and the audio just felt like cut in there.
Because it literally was.
It just doesn't. It didn't work for me, and I was
really
a little
jarring
forward to it. I do feel like it worked better in Disneyland than Disney World. I've heard a cut in Disney World. And I think too, we were stuck for a while waiting for our boat to.
Oh yeah, we were stopped in the last scene.
So we heard the cut over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But I mean, yes, it's hard to give. It's hard not to give it to Disneyland, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, Disneyland has the outdoor facade, and it's gorgeous, and yes,
it just feels like a more grand.
I'd be very surprised if anyone disagrees that Disneyland won.
But let us know. I mean, like,
it's not wrong to disagree. Not wrong. I'm just curious. All right, so what's next?
So let's talk about Radiator Springs Racers versus the new test track.
Okay, let's talk about this. So Radiator Springs Racers and Test Track. The reason we're comparing them is because they're very similar ride systems. Not exactly the same, but very, very similar. They're both, in cars, kind of like that slot car type of ride system. And they both have some show scenes that you slow down for, and then a speedy part at the end, right?
Yes.
And of course, Radiator Springs Racers opened with Cars Land at DCA relatively recently, around the time when they were just redoing everything, because that park needed so much help.
I mean, it's been years now.
Yeah. And then this new test track, this is Test Track 3.0, the third version of Test Track, and the fourth attraction to go into that show building, because before it was World of Motion, classic 80s Epcot attraction, which was an animatronic heavy, slow moving dark ride through the history of, vehicles, of cars. And, and then after that, they put in Test Track in the 90s. It was supposed to open in 97. It was delayed till about 1999.
Changing the flyer on the outside of the building or banner.
Right. And so, we had the original Test Track, which was themed to, test dummies, right? You were in a testing facility and you were in a test vehicle going through different tests. I'm saying test, but that's Test Track, right?
It was so good. The queue, as obnoxious as it was, standing in that really long queue, it was just fun to hear things crash.
I've seen the test, the test dummy getting hit in the chest over and over again, right?
I mean, it was part of our childhood. Like as a Disney adult growing up, going into Disney, you have a special connection to Test Track 1.
Oh yeah. And so that lasted for a while until it was replaced with Test Track 2.0, which everyone called like the Tron overlay. It was very computerized. It was like you were in a computer with a digital test vehicle. But that's the one where you got to design your own car.
Yeah.
Right. And then you would go through the different show scenes, and it was very digital. There wasn't very much going on, just a lot of screens and lighting effects. And then you would hear audio that was, taking your test vehicle that you designed through these different tests. And they would have little leaderboards throughout the attraction. Both of those, of course, had the outdoor portion where you got, up to 60 something miles per hour, right?
Yeah.
And both very fun. And so now just recently they redid it again. Now we're at Test Track 3.0, and now we're in present day. And this is the one that we're comparing to Cars.
Yes.
So Test Track 3.0 was, in my opinion, the best version of Test Track. It took elements from Test Track 2.0 and Test Track 1.0, and then a lot of inspiration from the original World of Motion attraction, and it created what I think is just a beautiful love letter to all the attractions, and pointing to the future of not only Cars, but of Epcot, it felt like, right?
And I have to say, I am not somebody that tears up a lot, and I teared up on this first ride of Test Track. I do think we were lucky enough to ride it twice on this trip. I do think that the dialogue on our first ride through was better than the dialogue on our second ride.
So another thing where they'll cycle through different audios, so I guess to kind of keep it fresh, and so you hear slightly, it's all the same basically, but slightly different versions of the same kind of phrases, right?
Yes.
And so the first time we rode it, you go through your seatbelt check, and I'll say that I looked down at the seatbelts were yellow and white, and it just immediately reminded me of the original Test Track. And so then you're going up that first lift hill into the ride, and you hear your two narrators introduce themselves. So there's the one male voice, and he's the owner of the car, and then a female voice, which is supposed to be the car.
Yes.
Right? And so the first time we heard it, the car introduces herself, but talking very computerized and robotic. And then the other voice says, "Hey, what are you doing?" And she goes, "I'm trying to sound futuristic." And he says something like, "No, just be yourself." And that made me think that's a beautiful nod to the second Test Track, to what was wrong with it.
Yeah.
To the fact that it felt very dry and robotic.
Yep.
And they kind of made a knock no, be yourself, Test Track, be Test Track.
Yeah.
Right? And that initially just made me feel all right, we're off to a good start here.
Yeah. And I do think too, the first version of Test Track, it was let's test cars to make sure that they're safe to ride on the road. The second one is let's test the technology to make sure that it's a unique car experience. This one is very much testing new futuristic possibilities.
Right. How could cars in the future function, and how could the technology help them function?
Yes. I do feel like they've slowed down some scenes, which is something we enjoy,
awesome,
that the thrill seekers might not enjoy.
So I made a mental note when you were talking about Splash Mountain to make a connection to this one, where you said Splash Mountain is a thrill ride, right? Mm-hmm. Or Tiana's Bayou Adventure is a thrill ride. And it's kind of built like that, but there really is only one really thrilling moment. And that's the big drop. And there's a couple little drops, right? And same thing with Test Track. I don't consider Test Track a thrill ride. There's a couple points where you kind of go around the bend during some show scenes inside, which are fantastic. And then there's that big portion on the outside where you go around the building really fast.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only thrilling part. I don't consider it necessarily a thrill ride. I consider it's kind of like the opposite of Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, where Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is a roller coaster with a show scene, right? And I consider this a bunch of interesting show scenes with one thrilling thing at the end, but I'm not going to call it a thrill ride. And so this kind of goes by. I was over at one of the restrooms in Epcot, and I overheard a conversation between two guys. And they didn't seem like people who had been to Disney World very often. And so they were like, man, I waited forever for the car track ride. And it was not a roller coaster, man. It wasn't what I thought it was.
And the other track ride.
Yeah. And the other person was like, yeah, I know. So disappointing. It was so slow. There was only one cool part. And the other guy was like, no, the coolest part was seeing the real Corvettes at the end. And I'm just thinking, all right, so you guys went in here not knowing what this ride was, thinking probably that it was a roller coaster, which I guess if you just got off Guardians, maybe it's an indoor coaster and it ended up being a roller coaster that you would think this is.
Yeah.
But so they didn't know what it was. And then they expected it to be, thrilling, and all the things that I think I appreciate about Test Track, they didn't like. So I'm thinking that they're probably not big Disney fans, right?
Yeah, I definitely feel like this version of Test Track is for the Disney fans. I definitely teared up at some of the dialogue. It had a lot of moments where there's a projection on the car that is a reference to the first two Test Track.
Yeah.
And all these extra things that is like scenes to impact World of Motion, things just like future world in general.
Like there was actual sets in there now. So like, there's a scene where you're seeing like the set of like some buildings on the street, right? And then it changes into like how a car sees the world, right? I'm not going to spoil everything, and you go through these show scenes a little bit slower. And then there's a part where it says, let's take a drive, and it says is a reference to World of Motion, where it says it's fun to be free.
Yeah.
And then, that part choked me.
That was the part that got me.
And then so you go around and you're driving around this like outdoor, looks like a foresty area, and you're kind of going through these corners, and it's really fun. And then there's other references in the dialogue to like Walt quotes and stuff like that. We're not going to spoil everything. And at the end of it, we both looked at each other and we were both teary-eyed. This is amazing.
The fast part was great when you can't see because you have mascara tears in your eye. And I'm like there, like, please don't let my contact fall out.
Yeah, but it was spectacular. Also, we rode that right after eating the unnecessarily spicy wings.
Oh, yes.
At Epcot, which, by the way, go to YouTube and you can see a full video of me eating those wings and my reaction to it. They were very hot. But so my mouth was still on fire. So I don't know. The wind kind of felt good to me.
There you go. It cooled your core.
Yeah. And then, of course, Cars, Radiator Springs Racers is spectacular. You have all the Cars show scenes and stuff. So you're going through that attraction and you're having these slow show scenes, and it's very similar to Test Track.
Yes.
Right? So I don't know. Here's a question for you guys listening. Do you guys consider either of those attractions thrill rides?
I mean, I personally consider them both in the thrill category.
So a thrill ride doesn't have to be entirely thrilling. It just needs one thrilling part to be considered a thrill ride.
And I definitely think so. But I feel like the race at the end of Radiator Springs Racers is a very thrilling part. The race at the end for Test Track 3.0.
They're very thrilling parts, yeah.
Very thrilling.
And I guess that just tells what I enjoy as a Disney fan, and that's show scenes and slow-moving rides.
And so, I mean, I
don't get me
agree
wrong, I like
that
thrill rides too, but
this version of Test Track is better. I think.
Is it better than Radiator Springs Racers?
I feel like there's such a feeling where you're walking through the town and you're seeing Flo's Cafe and the Cozy Cone, and then you hear the racers speed across the ledge, and then the attraction just has. Like you feel like you're in the movie, and I'm not even a huge Cars movie fan.
I'm not either. I'm not a big Cars fan.
But as much as Test Track 3.0 got all my Disney feels, and I love it. I think it's a beautiful attraction. I have to give the win to Radiator Springs Racers
for overall theming.
And the attraction, I know it's an older attraction at this point, but it's beautiful, and they've done a great job of incorporating the attraction in the land itself too.
That attraction has animatronics. I mean, they're not super fluid, and they're cars, right? So they move their eyes,
great animatronics,
but they look great,
and they move. And like even so, like some of the in the movie, you see a little bit of the tire, like the metal that holds the tires kind of like bend a little bit for the expressions of the cars. They do that on the animatronics. It looks like you're in the movie. It's hard not to give it to that because it's just such a fun ride. And I think the general Disney guest is going to like Radiator Springs Racers better than Test Track 3.0.
Whereas Test Track is for us, the Disney.
It's for the Disney fan.
Is more, even more specifically, it's for the Epcot fan. It's a celebration of Epcot. There's even nods to like Horizons in there, and nod, to Delta Dreamfly, like classic Disney World attractions. It's a very Disney World, very Epcot attraction.
Disney attraction.
And so I'm going back and forth. I think that Radiator Springs Racers is an incredible attraction. Animatronics and great story. But for me, as a nostalgic Disney World nerd, I have to give it to Test Track because I love seeing World of Motion references. I love Test Track in general, and hearing little nods to Walt Disney in there. Like, I have to give it to Test Track because it's pure nostalgia to me. It's a brand new ride. It's a brand new ride, but it still gives me nostalgia feels.
Yeah, they did a beautiful job. It is beautiful. Is beautiful.
I love it. I think it's great. I think it's, like I said, the best version of Test Track. And if we can have World of Motion back, give me Test Track 3.0.
Yep. It's World of Motion with some thrill.
Yeah. I wish I had more. I wish I had any animatronics. Like that would have made it perfect, I guess, having any animatronics. And you go by slow enough to where you could have some limited motion animatronics on some scenes. But I guess it didn't really need it. But I just wish I love animatronics.
Yep.
And that would have made him feel even more like World of Motion. All right, cool. So what's next?
So that's good on my comparison, but we do have to talk about one attraction that you told me you did not want to ride and I was like, I'm going on this because I've never done it. It is the Swinging Fun Wheel.
All right, so the Pixar Pal Around.
Oh, God.
Right, it used to be called Mickey's Fun Wheel. Now it's called Pixar Pal Around, and you're referring to the swinging gondolas.
Yeah.
And so I hadn't done this in a long time. I went to Disneyland with my family way back in 2005 during the 50th. Right?
Yes.
This is Disneyland's 50th. And
I guess we're going back to the 80th.
We have to, right? And so during that trip, my sister was little kid, and we rode the swinging gondolas, and they swing and they go really high, and my sister freaked out. She was little, and so I guess watching her freaked out made me freak out. And my memories of that attraction were, this is terrifying, so I'm never gonna do this, right? And so our previous Disneyland, we've been to Disneyland together twice.
Yes.
And so our previous Disneyland trip, we didn't do it because it was down. It was closed.
Yes.
And so this time it was open, and you were like, let's do it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm kind of scarred. Like, so my only memory was my sister screaming. I don't really remember it. And so we did it.
Yep.
And what did you think of it?
I loved it. I thought it was really fun when you did that big swing. It really only does a big swing when you're going down.
When you're going down, and it slides down the bar.
And it slides down the bar, yeah. I really enjoyed it. I feel like it's a good thing we ate afterwards instead of before. So.
Yeah. So I think like I said, my memory was, kind of tainted. Like, just by seeing my kid sister screaming. Mm-hmm. And when we rode this time, my reaction was, oh, hey, it's not that bad, right? And it really wasn't. I thought it was going to be scary. I mean, you walk by and you hear people screaming.
Yeah.
And I think it's more like laughter screaming. It's a fun screaming because it wasn't scary. But I will say...
for terror, like...
And I'm scared of heights. I don't like heights. And there's no like lap bars or anything on here. And I thought, oh, what if you like rock back and forth and fall over? You don't. Like, it's fine. And it wasn't scary. It was actually super fun. But by the end of it, I started getting nauseous. Yeah. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, now we're just swinging.
Yeah.
And, I think it also depends on how many people are in your gondola and stuff.
Yeah.
The weight distribution and how much it swings affects how much it swings.
Two other people in our gondola.
And they seemed a little scared. They were kind of holding on for dear life and kind of not really talking. It's kind of like sitting there very tense. And we were laughing and filming each other and taking pictures and stuff. But so,
we are
not scary. Not scary.
Yeah.
It was great. I'll do it again.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll do it again. It was great.
That's awesome.
Good times. So we're going to talk about shows now, right? Entertainment.
Yes,
Entertainment and shows.
Entertainment is important. So let's talk about parades.
Okay.
Because now Disneyland and Magic Kingdom both have nighttime parades.
They do, yeah.
So comparison, Paint the Night versus Starlight.
Right. So Paint the Night, if you don't know, that premiered initially for the 60th anniversary of Disneyland. And it's amazing. It's a kind of a tribute to the Main Street Electrical Parade, but it's really its own thing, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a fantastic nighttime parade. Tons of characters. Actually, our very first time meeting, right? I think we've told this story before on the podcast.
Yep.
That was one of our very first conversations. We had just met a couple hours before. We realized we were both Disney adults. Mm-hmm. And so my question to you was, which is better, Main Street Electrical Parade or Paint the Night? And you said?
I said Main Street Electrical, but it's because I've never seen Paint the Night.
And so now you finally have.
Finally.
So they brought Paint the Night back for the 70th.
Yes.
And we saw it in, all of its glory. Everything was working. Everything was there. We had a great spot sitting, right on the curb. And
great spot. Great
view. What did you think of it? What did you think of Paint the Night finally after all these years?
I loved Paint the Night. It is just such a fun parade. Spectacular floats, great costume design. The music was really fun. I pointed out something to you that you missed where it spells out Mickey on the final.
On the Mickey float, it says MICKEY and it lights up. I never noticed that.
And just a lot of really neat lighting elements. And I think that's just my main thing for Paint the Night is it is incredibly fun.
And so, I was a huge Paint the Night fan from the 60th on, and I had suggested, and we used it, that When Can I See You Again be our leaving song at our wedding, right?
Yes.
And so we used that song, the Paint the Night song, at our wedding as our leaving song, and it was great. And people had sparklers and everything. So that's part of our history. I think Paint the Night has woven itself into the fabric of our relationship.
Yeah.
So it was really great to be able to share the moment with you when you get to finally see it.
Yep. And seeing Main Street Electrical together for that anniversary.
Yeah.
The first Disneyland trip. So we're just conquering Disney parades in our relationship.
Yeah. That was the 50th anniversary of Main Street Electrical Parade at that point, right?
Yes. Home with my Elliott popcorn bucket. Yeah. Very excited.
And so what was your favorite float in Paint the Night?
I mean,
or ride vehicle. Could have been Mac.
It has to be, but that's the thing too, is I have to give it to Mac because it's great.
Truck,
it was great. It's all good.
I liked Belle though, Belle and Paint the Night. That was great.
And we have a special connection to that Belle story.
We went to Comic-Con, right?
We went to Comic-Con.
So that was right. Early on in our relationship, we went to our local Comic-Con.
That was before our first date, even.
And I was Disney bounding as Peter Pan, and you were Disney bounding as Belle.
Yes.
And what's the connection to Paint the Night?
So I just had this really pretty tiara and was like, I know Belle doesn't wear a tiara, but I'm going to wear this tiara.
And then I told you she wears a tiara in Paint the Night.
And it was very sweet.
So again, another Paint the Night connection.
We have a lot of connections to Paint the Night.
And so now what we're comparing it to is the new parade, Disney Starlight Dream the Night Away at the Magic Kingdom. Which we kind of saw 1.5 times on this trip.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so
there's 2 showings at Magic Kingdom. Yeah.
This was brought out recently, and it's the first time we've had a nighttime parade in Magic Kingdom in forever.
Yeah, it's been
right since the Main Street Electrical Parade left.
Yep.
And my first thought about this parade is that it's kind of short, right?
It feels like that. That was another thing. When we were watching Paint the Night, I was just like, wow, another float. Wow, another float. And then seeing Starlight second, I was like,
it's a little short.
It's over?
Yeah.
Like it's done? Really?
One thing that's interesting about Paint the Night, I feel like, is that the floats are so far apart from each other.
They really are.
There's a big gap between the floats. But yeah, so Disney Starlight is really great because It has nods to Main Street Electrical Parade. It has nods to Spectro Magic. And it has nods to Wishes, the old fireworks show over at the Magic Kingdom. So the nod to Wishes just got me. So we were spoiler free. At least I was going into this.
I've seen a couple. I've looked at the designs for the float.
Oh yeah, besides
I'm
that,
into concept art, so I was very excited to see pictures.
Yeah, I had seen pictures of the float and the official Disney stuff they've put out, but I didn't see any actual YouTube videos or anything of the actual parade. So I didn't know. And if you don't want to hear this, earmuffs. But the parade begins with a quote from Wishes.
Mm-hmm.
So it has the whole quote that, when stars are born, they possess a gift or two. One of those is to make wishes come true, right?
Yeah.
And that's the intro to Wishes, the old fireworks show. And so they did that at Starlight, and I almost broke down crying.
Yeah,
it was just so emotional.
Great.
And so then that parade is led by the Blue Fairy, which of course is a nod to the Main Street Electrical Parade because she leads that parade too. And the whole thing is that her magic, her Blue Fairy magic, is what's making all these wishes for all these other Disney characters come true behind her. And that Blue Fairy float, it has like kind of like a box in it, and it has like a screen in front of it, and then the screen kind of gets unfogged, and inside of it you see Geppetto and Pinocchio.
Yeah.
And it's that scene where Pinocchio becomes a real boy, and that reveal on that float it got me. Yeah. And that's my favorite float on that parade. It was just amazing.
It was great.
And so then there's musical cues, that tie back to the Main Street Electrical Parade as well. And then I'm not going to give away all the connections, but it was just amazing. The floats were beautiful. Like the Peter Pan float.
The Peter Pan float was definitely one of my favorites.
We had a float of Wish, which I feel like does not get enough love.
Yes, but I do love, I know a lot of people gave it a lot of hate in the beginning, and I always loved the art style for Wish, and I thought it was a great story, but I feel like people are starting to warm up to it, and I think part of the reason is Disney's really pushing it a little bit harder. They're they had a meet and greet. It's been featured in a couple of other things.
I mean, I know we're going to talk about the villains on Happily Ever After in a little bit, right? But what's it? I think
Magnifico.
That's what it is. So yeah, the villain from Wish.
Yes.
He's very briefly featured in that show too. I think it was really great to see Asha in this parade.
Asha in it, and I think that's interesting. Our nieces really love Asha. Like they loved meeting her in Epcot. She was a highlight.
Yeah,
and I think that's really beautiful because she's a great character.
Yeah, so we were walking around the Magic Kingdom during the first showing of this parade, and we were trying to get over to Haunted Mansion, and we got kind of locked in by the parade, and I was like, I don't want to see it, I don't want to spoil it till we see the whole thing. And then it was going by, and I was like, never mind. And we just watched the end of the parade. And so we saw the Whimsy float with, Whimsy the train, the new original character.
Good.
And we saw that.
Where is my ornament, Disney? Right? I need a Whimsy ornament.
Yes. And then we kind of followed that last float. We saw the Jiminy Cricket animation. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like, I don't think I ruined it for myself. I'm ready to watch this parade. Yeah. And then we got a really great spot in the curb. And it was just wonderful.
And I think my favorite float was the Peter Pan float. I'm over here like scrolling through our pictures.
More than the Rapunzel float? Tangled your favorite movie.
I do love the Rapunzel thing, but the Rapunzel piece was part of a bigger float.
Okay, yeah. They were in the boat and they put up the lantern and stuff.
Neat float because it had a lot of different characters in it. It had the Snow White piece. It had the Rapunzel piece. It had an Aladdin piece on it. It had Minnie at the end. So it was like their larger character float, like the princess float almost. But I think there was a princess float.
I think this felt very Magic Kingdom.
It felt very Magic.
And then we saw it, in the hub area. So we saw it go by the castle. And so it was just perfect. It was beautiful. It was amazing.
We got our Starlight popcorn bucket.
Yeah. My one thing about it is let's add a couple floats, right? It should be a little longer.
It felt very short. I definitely was like, why is it over already?
So the question is, which is better, Starlight, Dream the Night Away, or Paint the Night?
I mean, I have to give it to Paint the Night.
I have to give it to Paint the Night too. And it's not just because of our connection to it, but
it's like it's a longer parade.
And it's very upbeat.
It's very upbeat. Starlight just felt magical. It felt like a end of a Disney day. It was great.
And it's called, the tagline is "Dream the Night Away," and it felt like you're watching the personification of a lullaby.
Yes.
Right? It felt like that.
Like a lullaby.
It felt like this is your kiss goodnight. It felt like this is going to put you to sleep.
Kiss goodnight is a perfect way to get it. And those of you that have waited out Magic Kingdom like we have, that kiss tonight at the end of the night on the castle, that they just do the sparkle up and it's like, go get out.
Goodbye. Go away. Yeah. But it
felt like that. Like, that's such a good way to put it.
So I think my opinion is you got to watch the second showing. You got to watch it last and then leave from there, because if you're leaving with that Starlight feel, it just feels like that was the end. That's like, it felt like the end credits to a Magic Kingdom day. It was beautiful.
It was a beautiful parade, but Paint the Night's just so fun.
Paint the Night wins. You know, I think Paint the Night's a party and Starlight is a lullaby.
Yep.
And they're both beautiful for different reasons.
Yeah. I think they're both worth seeing. Like, I definitely make the chance to see both if you can.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So our next comparison.
These are both Disneyland ones. So
okay.
Disneyland will get the point no matter what.
Okay.
Happy Cavalcade versus Pixar Cavalcade.
All right. So the Celebrate Happy Cavalcade, that was the one that was added for the 70th anniversary. They're playing that Jonas Brothers song, which everyone loves.
Going down Main Street.
Yeah, it's going down Main Street. It's super fun. This one has Duffy and Shelly May.
I know.
And it's amazing. Amazing. I love Duffy.
Yes.
Oh, so just seeing Duffy, like I'll sit through that anytime it goes by just to watch Duffy.
We watched the Happy Cavalcade multiple times.
We did.
On this trip.
Yeah.
We had 2 Disneyland days, and I'm pretty sure we watched it at least 2.5 times.
Because
so maybe
Duffy being pulled by a little bicycle, like, oh, it's perfect.
It was great.
And then hearing the Jonas Brothers song, like, yes.
The teacups one.
Oh, yeah, when you're sitting in the teacups, and it was going by.
You know, it was just like that one.
Oh, my goodness.
Saw, like, at least
so good.
The Cavalcade at least 4 times.
And so the Pixar one, that's an actual parade, though, right? Not necessarily a cavalcade. That's
it's
the
cavalcade.
Is it called the cavalcade?
I thought it was. Yeah.
It's the Pixar. Oh my goodness, what was it called?
Better Together.
Better Together. Thank you.
Yes.
And what I think was cool about
parade, I think.
Yeah, that's a full-on parade, but we can still compare them because this one had interesting, unique Pixar characters. That's characters that you don't really often see, right? So, all right, I'm a big Pixar fan up to a point.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a point where I kind of feel like Pixar went a little downhill. And so this had a bunch of floats that celebrated Pixar movies that aren't really my favorites.
Yeah.
Right? So like Luca's cool because you don't really see those characters, but I'm not really into that movie. And like Turning Red, you know, they had those characters and they had like the boy band characters and stuff, but I don't really care for that movie.
Yeah.
So, you know,
something I have to give for Pixar though is casting was spot on.
So like the characters in the floats, like the ones that weren't.
Yes, the ones that were not like mass characters. Now I'm not a fan of Turning Red, but I know that it's huge. I was super impressed by the costumes, by the float design, by the casting of the friends and the like they were spot on.
Everybody looked great.
The Luca float was great. It was really well done. I think the Soul float was really good.
Yeah, the casting for that float looked great too.
It was
again characters that are rare, that you don't really see Soul characters around. You know,
I mean, we're starting to see a lot more Soul lounges and everything, like Soul Cat lounges, cruise line, and then
they had a float of Up, which is really cool.
Had the Up one.
But overall,
they were like all like mini floats. They weren't all like full floats.
So we walked out from after spending about 2 hours at Lamplight. We came down, and then we were staying there watching this parade. So, you know, it was enjoyable after having a couple cocktails and stuff. But since I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the IP used in that parade, and I am just a huge Duffy fan.
Yeah.
I think the Cavalcade was better than.
And like we've been playing that song on repeat.
I mean, I'm also a shameless, humongous Jonas Brothers fan.
Yeah.
So if I can hear Jonas Brothers in the Disney parks, I'm all for it. Which, by the way, Camp Rock 3, yes, please. Yes, please.
Thank you.
It's going to be cheesy and, well, campy, but yes.
Happy Cavalcade gets the point.
Yes, it does. So I don't know if this is on your list, but I definitely want to talk about Villains Unhappily Ever After.
Yes. So we did the Villains versus Walt Animatronic because there were 2 new shows that we
Yeah. So the
watching.
the Walt Disney animatronic over at Disneyland, it's like half new, half not new, right? So the actual animatronic, that's new. But before they show the animatronic, they're just playing the video One Man's Dream, which you could see at any time at Hollywood Studios, and that's been playing there for years, right? Yeah. And so it's hard for me to call that a completely new show, but seeing the animatronic of Walt, and I know that's very, very controversial. I know that it doesn't look exactly like him, right? But
I know that I personally, when I saw the videos of it, I was like, this is awful. It doesn't look anything like him, in my opinion.
But in person?
But in person, I thought it was incredibly better.
It was cool.
So
it was really cool. We saw it twice.
Yeah, I think it could have been better. I hope that they make a lot of fixes when they do the Walt Disney World Carousel Progress version, but I think it was better in person. I thought it was better sitting a little further back in the stage 2. We watched it 2 or 3 times.
We saw it twice. Yeah.
And so I enjoyed it a lot more in person.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, the Walt animatronic's only on stage for about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And, he delivers a speech that's kind of put together from various other speeches and talks, interviews that he's given. But I thought it was really cool. It felt really cool to have a Walt animatronic. I think it was about time. I think that's something that's been a long time coming in a way of celebrating Walt Disney, the man, right? He's not just a figurehead. He's not a Ronald McDonald, right? He's a real person. And I think more people need to understand that.
Yeah.
And celebrating that at Disneyland is really great. And I think he's going to be fantastic at Carousel of Progress. It's called Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress. So what a better place to have him in there.
And why not add another animatronic instead of just a sign? It's a great fit for that. And I think they're going to take notes and they're going to make it even better.
So let's talk about the Villains show, Villains Unhappily Ever After. So this is a full-on live stage show at Hollywood Studios. There's 3 live actors in the show, right? There's a Maleficent, there's a Hook, and there's a Cruella de Vil. Yes. And so the whole premise of the show is, the magic mirror. He's kind of saying that all these villains are complaining about being treated unfairly. And so he wants to kind of have a competition and see who was the most unfairly treated of all of them. And so we have those 3 villains that are on stage, and then other villains appear on screens, right? Mm-hmm. And so I really, really enjoyed it. There's songs, right? They sing, and then it's audience participation. We clap for the villain that we want to win, that we think is the most. They all kind of plead their case as to why they're so unfairly treated. And there's 3 different endings. It could end with either of those villains winning. Yeah. Right?
I also really enjoyed that you have the 3 live actors. You have several animated characters in the screens or on the mirrors. But then you also have live actors recordings on some of those screens as well.
That's true. So we have a Jafar
and a Hades.
Who are on screen, but they're filmed from live actors, and then the other characters appear in their animated forms.
Yes.
Yeah. It was really cool. And they also had some effects on the stage, like a little cannon comes out for Captain Hook segment, right? And some other things happen. And it's really cool.
They did a good job of having the mirrors move and be used. And it was a great use of space. It does not feel like the same theater that they did the Lightning McQueen, Racing Academy.
It's in
different.
It's in the Sunset Showcase Theater behind Rock and Roller Coaster, which I think we're all kind of hoping that eventually that gets turned into Muppet Vision 3D. Mm-hmm. But for now, this is a really great stage show. It's kind of a really great way to whet your appetite for the upcoming Villains Land at Magic Kingdom. And it just, to me, it felt like MGM Studios. It felt like old school studios. That's always been the stage show park, and live theater is so important at that park. And I think they're doing a lot now at Hollywood Studios to make it feel like, they went through a phase where they're still doing it, where they're putting IP everywhere, and IP lands, and they're still doing it with Monsters Inc. Mm-hmm. Right? And they did it with Galaxy's Edge, they did it with Toy Story Land. But I think they're also doing things to kind of bring back that MGM Studios flavor, with the new update coming to Animation Courtyard, with the new animation experience coming there. And then the updated Little Mermaid show, which we actually missed, but it looks incredible. And then now this villain show, it's kind of getting to the heart of what I feel like part of what Hollywood Studios was, or MGM Studios. Well, MGM Studios was about magic and movie making, but it also had a lot of stage shows.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is great, and it felt very classic MGM.
It really did. It really did. And I mean, I think to the Frozen show and Indiana Jones.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast, right?
Beast and Fantasmic. I mean, there's a lot of like live performances that really speak. And I feel like this is an excellent addition to that. It was super entertaining. Not spooky for little ones. Our 3-year-old niece loved it. She's a huge Villains fan.
Mm-hmm.
She really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think
it was great for kids. You're right. You think it's a villain show. You think it's going to be scary because they're villains, but it was just funny.
It was funny and
entertaining and good music. And
this is
an original song.
Nick is totally the reason that Captain Hook won an show.
I kept on shouting.
Shouted so loud for him to win.
Because I love Captain Hook. Peter Pan's my favorite animated movie. Oh, yeah.
And
so you're welcome, everybody.
It was the only time Hook won that day.
Yeah, I don't know. It was he had to win when I was there, and I made it happen. I made it happen, so I'm very happy that Hook.
Go after your dreams, kids.
Yep, Team Hook. So if you're listening, let me know who do you vote for in Unhappily Ever After? Are you a Cruella, Maleficent, or Captain Hook? And if you're not Captain Hook, you're wrong. So just saying. But yeah. It was just incredible.
It was a great show.
So one more thing, I don't think it's on your list, but I thought of it while we were talking about it. Happily Ever After versus Wondrous Journeys, the 2 fireworks shows. And I think this would be a quick conversation. Yeah, because of course it's Happily Ever After.
I mean, it was very cool to see Baymax, but like,
Baymax was incredible.
Happily Ever After was so great. They brought it back.
Yeah, they did.
And that's, something's great. Paint the Night, Main Street Electrical, Happily Ever After. Something is great when they bring it back.
When they bring it back,
Disney Park.
That's true. So I grew up, most of my like teen years, I was a huge Fall Out Boy fan, right? And so hearing Fall Out Boy in a Disney fireworks show was just so weird and awesome for me.
Yeah.
And then hearing that while seeing Baymax fly was so weird and awesome to me.
It was epic.
It was very, very cool. But I think the story that's being told in Happily Ever After is better.
Yeah.
I think the feels, it hits you in the feels. So we saw Happily Ever After kind of 1.5 times. So we were in line for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. We got out of it because the line was outrageous, like it always is. And then we were walking over to find a spot while Happily had already started.
Yeah.
And we ended up being right under Tinkerbell. Like directly under her path.
Which
was incredible.
Happily Ever After has been back. So we've seen it close to the castle. We've seen it Main Street. We've watched it in Fantasyland.
We've seen it from the Astro Orbiter. We've seen it from Splash Mountain.
We've watched it from all over the park.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like it was a pretty neat view because we got a really nice close view of Tinkerbell.
But we couldn't see the castle projections because it was blocked by trees. Fireworks through trees.
Fireworks through trees.
But the other time we saw it was from the Concierge Lounge private balcony at Wilderness Lodge. Ooh. And it was amazing. So if you don't know, Concierge Lounge over at Wilderness Lodge, they have this little like outdoor balcony area right by where they have like the drinks and stuff. Yep. And it's really small balcony, like maybe the size of like a room balcony, right? Yeah. A hotel room balcony, but it's open to the public. And so you have a view of Tomorrowland. So you can see Tron and you can see Space Mountain from here. Yep. And then you can see all the high fireworks. And then they pipe the music onto that balcony, into the balcony speakers. And so we stood there and, it was right after we had that amazing meal. Yeah, right after we had the amazing meal at Storybook Dining. And so we were up there watching it and, it was incredible. Happily always makes me cry. Yes. But this time was no different. Moment. It was a sweet moment.
It was quiet. Off to our trip. It was romantic for us. And
it was romantic for us, yeah. And my dad was there with us for a little bit of it too, right?
Take the romantic out.
No, there were parts that were romantic because my dad, wasn't there the whole time. But it was also special for me because my dad was there, right?
Yes.
And so, but it was an interesting. I mean, it wasn't like an amazing view where you could see everything.
No, you can't see the castle.
But you can see Tron, and you hear the music, and you see the fireworks.
Yeah.
And it was a private viewing of Happily.
Yeah.
And it was. I mean, there were other people on the balcony with us too.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a secret, but
No,
it was just.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Hotels have
some sort of viewing area.
Some sort of viewing area. Yeah.
Yeah. And I always say, since you can't walk around Magic Kingdom with alcohol.
Yeah.
This is the only time I've watched Happily Ever After with a drink.
True.
And that was pretty cool too, right?
That was, yeah.
So it was very cool. So yeah, I mean, all right, I haven't really been keeping score, but you can't go wrong when you're in a Disney park, whether it's West Coast or East Coast. They're both amazing. And we had amazing times at Disneyland for the 70th anniversary. It was spectacular.
Yep.
And we had an amazing time on a family vacation in Walt Disney World.
Yep.
We had all this wonderful 70th decor in Disneyland, and we had fall decor, which, by the way, would you like better, fall decor or 70th decor? Fall. We saw fall at Disney World, Magic Kingdom, pumpkin wreaths and everything.
I'll give it to fall. I'll give it to Disney World for this one.
I agree. I think the fall decor.
It was fun to see pumpkins.
The 70th stuff is cool. It's very like purple and pink.
Yeah. I mean, not saying I didn't like it. It was just.
But seeing the fall decor, the pumpkins, nice. And the new pumpkins they have over in Storybook Circus, right? The Timothy Mouse
and the Dumbo. Yeah, those were nice.
And the Cinderella sea one over in front of the castle, right? It was really great.
It was really nice. We really enjoyed
all the pumpkins up on the on Main Street.
Yeah, they were all carved differently. The scarecrows.
Yep, the scarecrows in the front. I hadn't seen fall decor in Disney World. I can't remember the last time I saw that, honestly. Yeah. So it was really special.
It was really nice. I really enjoyed seeing fall. We typically go around Christmas time, and so it's summer. So it's nice to see.
Which apparently we're not allowed to do anymore.
No, not
because it's so hot.
When Florida stops being humid, we can go back in summer.
So this was a long 2-part episode, but there was so much to talk about, and we could keep going for another 2 hours. But I think we're gonna call it a night right now.
Keep the conversation going on Instagram and in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us your favorites. Tell us what you like.
Yeah, are there any comparisons that we missed? Are you more of a Disney World person or a Disneyland person? Let us know, please. You can't go wrong. It was amazing at both. I love the 70th, and I just love Walt Disney World.
Yep.
Especially during food and wine season, right?
Oh.
So anyways, this has been really great. Thank you for being on the show again for 2 episodes. This was great. If you liked it, please leave a rating and a review wherever it is you're listening, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. And please tune in to our weekly live show. That's MIM Monday, every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time on Instagram. And then if you miss it, you can listen to it here on the podcast feed or watch the videos of that on YouTube. That's the weekly news show.
Make Mondays magical.
Make Mondays magical with me. Thanks again for listening to the podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Tell your fellow Disney friend about it.
Yes, please. Spread the word. Mickey in Minutes. All right, we love you guys. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Thanks again for listening to the Mickey in Minutes podcast. If you liked it, tell your fellow Disney friends about it. Follow on Instagram at Mickey in Minutes, subscribe wherever you listen, and check out mickeyinminutes.weebly.com for more content.